Middleweight bout, Abus Magomedov coming in at plus 200 against Caio Barralho, sitting at minus 250, over under 2.5 rounds, even money on the over, minus 130 for the under. Abus Magomedov back in action after the loss to Sean Strickland, which ages pretty well, but that was only his second UFC fight, and the other UFC fight was Dustin Stoltzfus. So you go from Dustin Stoltzfus to the middleweight champ of the world. You can see why he would lose that fight. It was an impressive win over Dustin Stoltzfus, but nonetheless lost his last fight. Caio Barralho undefeated in the UFC, and he's looked pretty dang good doing it. So in this one, he was a slight underdog to Strickland. Magomedov was, and he's coming in as a bigger underdog here against Caio Barralho. Magomedov did win the first round against Strickland, but Barralho has looked so good in the UFC that I could see why the line is this way. What are you thinking on this one?
Yeah, this is another one that scares me a little bit from the standpoint that maybe, Magomedov, I don't know, maybe he was injured going into that Strickland fight. I mean, looking back now, it's like, okay, well, Sean Strickland's the champ of the world. He beat Israel Adesanya. It's maybe not out of this realm that he was able to do that to Magomedov, like in hindsight. So it worries me that, maybe we're getting a little down here on Magomed because of that loss to Strickland, and we're labeling him as not a good fighter, when if you look at his other fights, like the dude is a legit striker. The guy has some super good skills. He was able to take down Sean Strickland in that first round. Like you said, he won that first round against Strickland. I think in that situation, that's the biggest stage he's ever fought on. You're fighting a guy who's ranked near the top of that division. It's your second UFC fight. And maybe that was just a little bit too much for him. The moment the pressure got to him, and he broke a little bit after he figured out that, okay, I'm not going to be able to put this dude away, especially not in the first round. Maybe I used too much energy, and Sean Strickland capitalized. I think this is one where Caio is going to have a good chance to come in here and do what he does, get the takedowns, and from there work, look for submissions, ground and pound. But if he struggles with taking down Magomedov, especially early, I think Magomedov is going to have some success on the feet. Like, the dude's really, really long in the striking department. He fights well from the outside, even in close. Like, he'll get you in the clinch, and he'll do good work as well. And, he's not bad in the grappling department himself. So I think this fight is actually super interesting. Caio, undefeated in the UFC, has looked damn good, takes everybody down, controls them. He'll find submissions. He's got some power. And then you look at Magomedov, who's 1-1 in the UFC, his only win, Stoltzfus. I think people maybe are disrespecting Abus Magomedov just a little bit. And I think this fight could be a lot closer than people think. And, man, I want to take Magomedov really bad. I think the grappling advantage being on the side of Caio here is going to take him far in this fight. But, I mean, I just don't see a world where Caio comes in here and runs over Magomedov, especially, I don't know. I don't see it. I got a weird feeling about this fight. I'm going to take Caio for the pick, but watch out for Magomedov here.
Yeah, I mean, if Caio decides to strike with him for too long, like, it's going to be a lot closer of a fight than the line would entail, because Barralho is not a bad striker. He's actually pretty solid, but if he allows it to play out on the feet, like Magomedov is, he's got some really nice kicks, and the hands are solid as well. So that makes the fight a lot closer. But I would expect Barralho to look for the grappling fairly early. The only thing that scares me is, like, in the last fight against Michal Shacek, because Barralho stood and striked with him for the first round, and then the second round decided to go for the choke and got it. So that's just like one thing that scares me about betting this price is, like, do you want to keep trying to prove yourself on the feet, or do you want to pick up wins? Like, what do you want to do here? For Magomedov, you look at the record before the UFC, it's a lot of can crushing. And his only win in the UFC is Dustin Stoltzfus. So it's like, I don't really know where to price this guy at. So going into this one, I'm like, I think Barralho gets the win. But maybe we see a good bounce back from Abus, and maybe he shows us something. With it only being a 3-round fight, it's not like he's got to fight for 5 rounds like in the last fight against Strickland. So maybe could look a little bit better than his last performance. And it's not like Barralho is going to have that Sean Strickland style to be like relentless on you. It'd be like you're not getting any breathing room here. So yeah, Barralho will be the pick for me. We'll see where we end up at the end of the week. I got to look into this one a little bit more, but yeah, he'll be the pick for me.
Well, with Magomedov too, it's like you watch that fight against Stoltzfus, and yeah, it ended early and Stoltzfus sucks, but the way he threw that kick up the middle, it's like that's exactly what he's going to be looking for with that kick and the knees, especially with Caio trying to enter onto a single or double leg. Makes me nervous because Magomedov's athletic and he's the type that can land those shots. So yeah, it's super interesting. I'm actually excited for this fight.
Yeah, I'm intrigued. It was supposed to be Nursultan against Barralho, but Nursultan pulls out. And
would have been an insane fight.
Yeah, that would have been a cool fight, but this one is pretty cool too. So looking forward to it.